welcome everyone to Do the Move. My name is George, the last real G, being joined tonight by JT and Bobby. We are going to be talking tonight about AEW Full Gear. That's pretty much going to be the length of it here because it was a long pay-per-view, gentlemen.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we'll start real quick with the 0 hour stuff, get that out of the way. First matchup we had was 10-man tag match. Best friends, Trent Beretta, Chuck Taylor with Rocky Romero and Danhausen. And yeah. Oh, and Orange Cassidy. Forgot about Orange Cassidy. And they took on the Factory, QT Marshall, Aaron Solo, Lee Johnson, Nick Camarado, and Cole Carter. This was a pretty by the book affair for the most part, except for the fact that Danhausen didn't enter the match until much later. Um, for those who didn't see it, Danhausen unleashed his dark persona, much more violent, much more insane is the only word I can think of it because he brought a jar of teeth and an iron spike with him to the ring. Um, the yeah, it was an interesting match, and it was certainly anchored by Danhausen, and Danhausen actually looked pretty damn good. He was hitting suplexes on everybody and making it look easy. Um, Best friends and Danhausen win the match. Nothing more to say there. Gets the crowd going, gets them happy, and gets them started. I know you guys said you didn't check out those matches, correct?
Correct.
No.
Now,
I did
unfortunately,
see
go ahead, JT.
yeah, I did see Danhausen's entrance and I'm like, "Ooh, this is very evil."
Yeah, this
I
this is the
liked it.
very evil side. Yeah.
And his face paint's kind of different a little bit too, which I kind of liked.
Yeah, it's got a little bit like the blood on like the lower half of it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was pretty much it was Dark Danhausen, and that was the whole point of that match. So, nothing really much to write home about. Solid, match. Can't say any more. Next up, we had the semifinal match for the AEW Championship Eliminator Tournament. This was a match that got postponed due to Ricky Starks not being medically cleared. And this was Ricky Starks against Brian Cage. Um, Ricky Starks won this one, and it's really all that needs to be said about it. It was a decent match, but Ricky is if he's got an actual injury, he is definitely showing it. He was heavily taped up, and if he's not as injured as they claim he is selling like a madman. So. But Ricky did win that match. He will go on to face All Ego Ethan Page on the upcoming Dynamite. Next was the highlight of the 0 hour. Eddie Kingston and Jun Akiyama representing DDT Pro Wrestling. So a little bit about this match and a little bit about Jun Akiyama for those who aren't aware. So Jun Akiyama is representing DDT Pro Wrestling. He is an absolute legend in Japanese professional wrestling, closely associated with the four pillars of All Japan Pro Wrestling. And those are names among names in Japanese pro wrestling. Um, this for Eddie Kingston was a dream match. This was somebody he looked up to immensely, and you could tell that this was a very emotional night for Eddie. He did get the win. He was close to tears at the end, though. It was an emotional moment for him, and then he cut a shoot promo that they had to cut him off. It was a fun time, but yeah, this was definitely something good for Eddie, and it was nice to see him get not only a win, but also just have such a meaningful moment. So I hope that we'll continue to get those from Eddie. He looks to be in a better headspace now, which is, a positive thing. All right. So, any quick thoughts before we get to the main card, gentlemen?
No, unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch it. So it's on YouTube, probably, right? Or
No.
is it on Fight Bleacher Report? Oh, I'll
It,
catch it
yeah,
somewhere.
it's available for I believe legally through Bleacher Report. It might still be on like Comcast on demand if you want to go check it out. Um, I can't say that there are YouTube links because we do not promote piracy. Um, But yeah. Anyway, moving on before we get in too much trouble. All right, so opening up the main card was the steel cage match, Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus Luchasaurus with Christian Cage. This was the end of a very, very emotional feud, and this one got bloody. You know, it got bloody, it got violent. There was tables, there was chairs. There's the beautiful shot of Jungle Boy's blood just dripping over the chain link on the cage. Um, yeah, this was definitely a good match, far better than it should have been, and actually one of the better cage matches I've seen in quite a while. Jungle Boy did take the win via submission. Did make Luchasaurus tap out. Uh, I liked this match. I don't know how you guys felt about it.
The match was decent. Not a fan of the finish though. Just because, man, Luchasaurus, man, he's supposed to be a monster, dominating monster, and I feel like he's got on the short end of the stick here. Just not a fan of the finish. Overall, but again, the match was decent. Jungle Boy, he was short on that elbow drop. Wasn't pretty, but it was a decent match. JT.
Yeah, I agree. Pretty decent match. Again, the elbow drop, it kind of sucks that it was short. Could have been awesome if, actually he hit it perfectly. The one critique I would give is Luchasaurus is pretty much dominating the first half of the match, right? Just absolutely destroying Jungle Boy. And then out of nowhere, Jungle Boy does the Canadian Destroyer, right? And that had the crowd pop really loud. I wish Jungle Boy would have sold, laying on the floor before going for the pin right away. Just to have the crowd more riled up to be like, come on, go for the pin. He did that a couple times. I just can't remember the other time he did that. But other than that, yeah, it's a good match. I love the what Christian Cage did. He kind of like, had like a sleight of hand pro, right? Kind of took the keys from the ref when he wasn't looking. I thought it was pretty cool seeing that. I don't remember seeing that ever in like a cage match, like a manager kind of like stealing the keys from a referee. I thought it was pretty cool. But yeah, definitely a pretty good match. Out of like let's see, we had three cage single matches. This is probably one of the better ones.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, now as far as the elbow drop goes, I know a lot of people were saying they didn't like it, but from my point of view, it was very reminiscent of Shawn Michaels, in the way he does that elbow drop. And I think it was intentional as far as how he did it, because I know Luchasaurus was nursing a shoulder injury coming into this. So that may have been done purposely to protect Luchasaurus.
okay.
Um, and yeah, as far as Christian sealing the key, that was actually a really innovative thing that he did, and I'm glad he did it. And I would love to see something like that further down the line. Of course, give it time to, spread out. You don't want to keep doing that spot, but that was a cool spot. So, um, yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of complaints about this match. I went in thinking Luchasaurus was going to win this match, but I understand why Jungle Boy won this match, because now the next step for him will be, once Christian Cage is healthy, to get to him. So that's something to look forward to as far as story progression goes. All right, give me one quick sec here. All right, next up we have the match I know you guys aren't gonna hate because I saw you guys complaining about it in the chat. Trios championship match, Death Triangle versus the Elite. And I know you guys were mad. This match was so good for how little build it had. Because let's face it, this one just came last minute. We're gonna, and then they absolutely knocked it out of the park as far as, we don't have a storyline going. Screw it. Let's just have the best match we possibly can, and they absolutely killed it. Great. There was a lot of big spots, a lot of just cool stuff. You really didn't know who was gonna win, and then the ending just, you know, at least the ending fed into something that's been going on a week-to-week basis with Pac and Phoenix, and I'm glad that they did it the way they did it with the hammer spot. Um, all around, I think it was a great match. I'm looking forward to the fallout from this, and and I'll touch on that after I get your guys' thoughts.
JT.
Uh,
Oh, all right. Um, yeah, it, it was a good match. Don't get me wrong. It's a great match. I did like, that Phoenix used the hammer, uh, you know, trying to go to his dark side stuff. Um, but I mean, I'm happy that, Death Triangle won. That's number one, because I was gonna be really mad if the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega would have won. Um, but I'm just waiting for the House of Black to just come into the picture. That's the one thing I'm really waiting for, because those are another this awesome trio team. Buddy Matthews, Brody King, Malachi Black. They're just phenomenal, and I just want to see them go at it with the Bucks or Death Triangle. Bob?
No, see, I agreed. It was a hell of a match. The ending, I love the ending because I did not see that coming. With everybody's with the return of the Bucks and Omega, we all thought, oh man, these guys are gonna come back and win their titles. And I'm just like, that sucks because dude, I love Death Triangle. They need to do more with that team. They've been doing a little bit with them with the titles, but it hasn't been meaningful. And then with them coming back, and I'm like, oh great, they're gonna lose, and then boom, Death Triangle's gonna be on the back burner. Nope. Ray Phoenix used that hammer. One, two, three, and I jumped up, and I'm like, what? I can't believe it, man. It was awesome. I saw you guys were excited for the ending too.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, it was the ending really made that for me, man, because it's up there. It was a good match, and then they announced the best of seven series, so we're gonna get six more matches potentially, maybe we'll see. But I'm all for it. Again, the match was good, and we're just gonna get better matches from here on out. And again, the end goal might be the Bucks and Omega winning them back, but hey, you know what? At least they're telling a story with this now. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was gonna touch on that best of seven thing, and that one kind of came out of nowhere a little bit, but I'm happy that they're doing it because it's the only thing it's gonna do is elevate those titles,
Yeah.
and because let's face it, if you have the two best teams in the world going at it, all it's gonna do is make that title worth more, and it's going to establish it. And then when House of Black does come back, or when somebody else establishes themselves as a prominent trios, they'll come in and we can have some more banger matches, and people will actually care about the title. So I know, our friend Chad, who was very upset about this, taking to Twitter about it, but the way I look at it is if you're going to do something to elevate the title, having the best teams compete for it is the way to go. So, we might not get the full seven. That's the other thing. If
We
they,
might not. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tony decided, yeah, we're going to end it at six. But again, this is something I could see going either way, and I'm happy to have it.
Yeah.
Okay, and right, let's move on here to the next match, which was the singles match for the AEW TBS Championship. The champion Jade Cargill with the baddies Kira Hogan and Layla Gray against Nyla Rose with Marina Shafir and Vicky Guerrero. First thing to note before we even get into the match, we got Nyla Rose coming out in a lowrider, a 55 Impala lowrider, with Vicky Guerrero wearing the I'm Your Mommy t-shirt and Marina Shafir looking like a cholo. That was so, like, we were like, holy crap, I can't believe they did that. Obviously great homage to Eddie Guerrero. It was definitely a moment, and something I could definitely I was so excited to see that at an AEW event. Obviously, Eddie Guerrero is very important to wrestling in general, and has certainly influenced people, in all walks of life here. And as course, he's been an inspiration to many wrestlers, many young wrestlers. People still go back and watch his matches now just to learn a lot of the tricks and things that he did. So obviously, this is a special moment. And then worthy of note was Nyla Rose's outfit for this match, dressing for as one of the main characters from the Assassin's Creed series. I couldn't pick out exactly which one, but I believe it was the original. On the other side, that we did have Jade Cargill in a Thundercats inspired outfit, dressing as Chitara. Um, and man, was that costume riding high. That's the only thing I'll say on that. As far as the match goes, though, this one, I don't know, it felt a little sloppy. I'm not gonna lie. Um, we were a lot of us were pulling for Nyla to win though, but it obviously wasn't gonna happen. Um, I'm not really sure what they're planning to do with this belt at this point, because now who's left for, Jade to beat? Obviously Chris Statlander is still injured, and who knows when she's coming back. Uh, so, but now, based on certain other events that happen later in the night, maybe Britt Baker gets involved. That's my thought on that. Bobby, why don't you give me your thoughts?
I agree, George. The match was sloppy. Oh man, Jade, she's pretty green in the ring. But again, I get why she's on TV. She has such a presence about her. I mean, you just can't look away when she comes out. Like, man, her outfit out there was, I believe it was Thundercat. Uh,
Yep.
one of
Yeah,
the,
Chitara from the Thundercats.
again, I wasn't around back then, so again, not too familiar with the show. But again, she looked amazing. But again, her in ring work still sloppy. Wasn't really fulfilling the match, which is kind of a theme for the women here tonight, at least for me, in my opinion. But we'll get into details later with the other matches. But yeah, JT, what do you feel about this match?
Um, so I was kind of paying attention to the match, but when I was paying attention, it was pretty sloppy. Um, the that move that Nyla Rose does, where they have, her opponent like kind of hanging on the turnbuckle, and then she like does like a knee. I don't know, I just feel like that's kind of like silly because she's just kind of hanging there, and then you gotta wait for Nyla Rose to get to the top rope.
Oh yeah,
You know what I'm talking about? I
yeah.
forgot what the name
Yeah,
of
the
that.
guillotine knee drop.
Yeah. If it was quicker, that would have been fine, but she kind of took her time to get to the top rope.
Yeah,
Um,
she definitely does it a little slower than she used to.
yeah. But I mean, the only thing I do love was, the homage to Eddie Guerrero, the low rider, Vicky Guerrero wearing I'm Your Mommy shirt. But honestly, I kind of zoned out in that match, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, this was definitely the most 3 out of 5 match on the card, as far as I'm concerned. Um, yeah, and the funniest thing about that "I'm Your Mommy" shirt is it's actually a Rhea Ripley shirt.
Yeah.
I was like, man, they're getting away with that one. Yeah, definitely. This match was definitely forgettable as far as the rest of the card goes. And again, I'm not sure where they're going with this, but we'll see what happens. All right, next match. This was a pretty big match on the card. Fatal four-way for the ROH World Championship. Chris Jericho versus Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, and Sammy Guevara. This one was all over the place. Just stuff happening everywhere. Big spots from Sammy, big stuff from Claudio, just great technical wrestling out of Danielson, and Chris Jericho using every veteran tactic he has to get the win. Um, I I went into this match 100% sure Jericho was going to win this. There were some times though where I felt that maybe either Claudio or Danielson was going to steal it. But obviously Jericho held on to the title at the end of the day. Um, Good match all around. I really don't have a lot to complain about. Your John, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, besides match quality, there was like a good storylines happening in the match too. Right, Sammy and Jericho working together for a good amount of the match till like 3/4 of the way. That's when they kind of started like, all right, Sammy's like, all right, you know what? I'll try to like get a pin now, so they did a pretty good job like setting that up, and same with like Claudio and Danielson. They did the same exact thing. But yeah, it was a great match, and I mean I kind of had a feeling that Jericho was going to win, but there's a one point in time where I thought Sammy's going to take the victory, and I was the only one kind of cheering for Sammy in the group, but I
I
just
think you're
wanted
the
to
only
see
one in
that.
the world who was cheering for Sammy. He was getting
But
booed
I
out of
just
the
wanted to be that
building.
wild card against Sammy, But hey, whatever. All right, Bob, go ahead.
Guys, man, I thought this was, my opinion, it's probably my match of the night. It was a hell of a match. Like you said, George, it was crazy. Lot to call out there. I like the chemistry. JT, like you mentioned, with Jericho and Sammy, they teamed up. They're working well, and then hey, Sammy had enough. He wants a chance at this title also. But then they got back together at the end. But the ending was a little botched. I thought it's a cool concept. So Claudio swinging Sammy in the swing. Jericho comes in with the Judas, but they redid it like pros. Claudio and Jericho looked at each other like, we're gonna have to redo this, and they did it again. But again, my magical night. I loved it. I'm excited to see what Jericho's gonna do going into Final Battle, right, guys? Final
Yep,
Battle,
final battle.
which is in a couple weeks. So again, guys, any clue who he will face for at Final Battle here?
Well, before we even get to final battle, Jericho's defending that title this upcoming Wednesday against Tomohiro Ishii from New Japan.
Oh shit, that's right. Oh,
So let's see if Jericho gets past that before we get to anything else.
yeah.
Um, I'm sure he's going to hold on. I'm not going to lie. He's probably going to beat Ishii, but
Yeah.
um, if Ishii is fully capable of winning that title, and it would certainly be a huge deal if he did. Um, but more on that next week when we get through Dynamite. So um, yeah, again, this was just a good, solid match. Definitely a fan favorite match, and again, no complaints. All right. Next up, we have a singles match. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, against the returning Saraya. A lot of emotion in this match coming into it. Obviously, Saraya hasn't wrestled in a number of years due to injury. Um, as far as how she looked in the ring, it's questionable is the word here. Um, it- Ring rust is definitely present for Saraya. Um, as far as Britt Baker goes, though, she definitely carried this match and at times looked poised to steal it. I, there's a lot to say about this match. I don't want to say anything negative, and I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt to Saraya just because she's been gone so long, and I'm sure once she gets back into regular competition, that she'll get back to where she was. JT, what do you got?
Yeah, I agree with you, George. Definitely, ring rust, and it's been a while. She probably doesn't want to take any crazy risk for the first match, which makes sense. Yeah, definitely Britt Baker was the one leading the way, which is fine. Probably the cool spots that happened in that match was when they went out, outside. They're kind of like playing towards Soraya's like brother. So a little dynamic there. It's kind of cool. Like I always love seeing that, like interactions with family members and wrestlers. That's always cool to see. And then Saraya with the victory, and then very emotional coming towards her brother and hugging. So that's cool to see too. Bob.
Like I said, like I mentioned earlier, there's a theme with the women here, and this match is not pretty. JR used the line earlier in the women's match between Jade and Nyla. It was bowling shoe ugly. In my opinion, this was bowling shoe ugly. And again, I understand Saraya has been out for 5 years, ring rust and all. Again, JT, you mentioned you don't want to do anything insane. Britt carried this match, and yeah, man, I wasn't really feeling this match. I get it. They had her brother at ringside. Again, I get the story, but I felt like Britt, she's kind of positioned in this babyface role. I feel like her promos the last couple of weeks, she's right. She is the AEW girl, and Saraya's coming in and is like, "This is my house now," and I kind of feel for Britt, even though I'm not a fan of Britt. I'll say it out there. I'm not the biggest Britt fan out there, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the match. But again, I understand circumstances and whatnot. And again, it's Paige's first, Soraya's first match back. So we'll see what she can do in her second match, her third and fourth, and on. So, but yeah, we'll have to move on to the next match.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, the one thing to say about this, obviously, with the ring rush that Saraya has, I feel that Britt was the correct opponent for this match in terms of if anything went wrong, she would be able to save it. Um, Obviously, Britt was, in control of this match as far as how it played out and, what spots happened. Nothing too crazy, no big, there was no big table spots or, just any crazy stuff that we don't, that we normally see in a Britt Baker match. Um, but again, I can't think of anybody else on the roster who wasn't already involved in a match that would have been a suitable opponent for Saraya. Where she would look decent enough in the ring that fans go home happy, and because otherwise, if she looked bad in this match, she would have got eaten alive by every wrestling journalist and outlet that there is. So props to Britt for getting us through, getting her through the match, and for putting on enough of an entertaining show that we didn't feel cheated. Next match up was the triple threat match for the TNT Championship. Samoa Joe, Wardlow, and Powerhouse Hobbs. Wardlow, the champion, coming in. Not the champion coming out, surprisingly enough. This match was, well, it was big meaty men slapping meats. This was a power match, and you know what? It was everything it needed to be. It was big guys doing big guy things, and everyone looked good in this match. Samoa Joe looked good. Wardlow looked good. Hobbs really showed that he could stand with two guys of that caliber. Um, Nothing really bad to say about it. It was a hard hitting match, and that was what it needed to be. Samoa Joe took the win on this one. Walks out as double champion now because he is the ROH TV champion as well. So that'll be an interesting story going into Final Battle. Um, your guys' thoughts, Bobby? You want to take this one?
Yeah. Like you said, man, big meaty man smacking me. I loved it. I was all for it. I enjoyed the spot where Hobbs came in with this fucking pounce on Joe. He hit the guardrail, his head, and I'm like, oh shit, Joe, watch out, man. You've been getting hurt lately too much, so be careful there. But that was a sick spot. I also enjoyed the whisper in the wind that Wardlow did on Joe and Hobbs. Also, that was cool. It shows you how much the Hardy Boys have really influenced Wardlow as a kid. But yeah, the ending also, Joe coming in, sneaking in, taking the win. That surprised the hell out of me. Also, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm all for it. I'm a Joe guy. Joe, 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 Joe. So hey, give me more Joe. I'm all for it, guys. JT.
Yeah, first of all, Wardlow is like surprising the hell out of me. I think this past Dynamite, he did like that suicide dive and he went flying.
Yeah.
Bro, he went flying. My God. And then yeah, the whisper and wind, I'm like, oh my God, you did that too. So I'm kind of glad that he's saving like those like crazy moves for at least the pay-per-view. I mean, that's where you should bust that shit out. Um Match overall, I mean, it's a big man match. It's big spots, the pounce. I love that. The finish, uh, I mean, it's all right. I just wish that what's his name, Hobbs, wouldn't pass out that quick and then kind of get up after that. I would have, kind of fight for his life because he kind of like just kind of like went out like in 2 seconds.
Well, I'll disagree. Well, JT, when you should know from mixed martial arts and getting in the ring, if you get that hold nice and tight, you don't just kind of hang on. If it's tight, you're out. So
I guess I don't know.
from that kind of aspect, I'm for it. I if we go back to the first match, I would have been a little bit okay with Luchasaurus passing out, not tapping out, but he tapped out, and I'm like, come on. Here, I'm cool with the finish because hey, you know what? Joe got in there. Joe, he's known for the rear naked choke, and he got him, and hey, that was it. Lights out.
Yeah,
It sucked. It sucks because Hobbs had to take the fall, but you know,
yeah, yeah. I just wish he kind of would have sold that. Um, not getting up so quickly. That's the only criticism I have. But other than that, it's you know, big men sleeping, big meat and stuff. So good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see that Wardlow has the athletic ability to do some of the stuff that he did.
yeah.
And certainly that'll play well down the line, when he's competing in bigger matches. Hopefully he is moving maybe now into, you know, away from the TNT title. Maybe he moves into the main event scene a little bit. Um, or, if he's going to rematch Joe at Final Battle, that could be, a big match, obviously. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be, I think Dynamite will be the, proving ground for what Samoa Joe is going to do with this title. All right, moving on. We have the no disqualification tag team match: Sting and Darby Allin versus Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Of course, Lethal with Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh. This was a car crash of a match. That's all I can really say about
I
it.
love it.
Fans were chanting TNA during it. So Bobby, this will be your kind of match.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely, man. I was when I heard that, I'm like, ah, shit, yes, 2006 all over again. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, solid match. Obviously, Sting and Darby do Sting and Darby things. Although Sting looked like he was breaking into somebody's house, so you know. Um, I to be honest, I was expecting Sting to come back like as Red and Black Sting, which would have been really cool. But that was just me. Um, there was one bad spot in this match, or at least one ugly looking spot. It was when Lethal was going for the lethal injection and Sting caught him, was supposed to hit him with the Scorpion Death Drop, just kind of fell over with him. But other than that, I mean, this was an okay match. Jarrett definitely showed that he still got what it takes to be in a match like this and make everybody look good. So hopefully, obviously the guy who's going to take the most away from this is Darby. Because to be honest, I've kind of felt that Darby has been like a afterthought as of late. He's there, but you kind of forget that he's there. Hopefully this reestablishes him a little bit, but I think Darby needs to do something more significant moving forward. That's just my opinion. JT, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, throughout the pay-per-view, this is the match that like really woke me up. I'm like, holy hell, what's going on? Like, I have really low expectations for this match, to be honest with you. I'm just like, all right, they're gonna do their thing. But I was actually really surprised with Sting. I was really surprised with Jeff Jarrett's performance. I mean, I should have knew he's gonna be great because when he first came out, he started to get into like some fan's face, and then Jeff Jarrett just like pushes him. I don't know if you guys caught that, but that
Yeah.
was great. Um, and then also like what's his name? Saddam Singh. Just doing like catching Darby Allin's kind of throwing him around. That's pretty sick too. But then yeah, obviously that botch part at the end, that's only a minor thing, but everything else is pretty solid. I think the one part that kind of scared me was when Sting was out in the crowd and did that dive. I thought he like landed on his head. I'm like, oh boy. But thank God it looks like he's fine. So Bob?
I absolutely agree, man. I thought, well, again, I know you guys were ranting and raving about the match in the chat. I think you guys said it was like your match of the night, or at the time
One
it
of
was your
them.
match of the night. But I thought it was a fun match. Wasn't match of the night, but it was a fun match. Again, it's that match that's either gonna wake you up or you're gonna go and get some popcorn or take a piss. It's not everybody's cup of tea. I know Jonathan, he's not a big fan of these garbage matches, where they go and fight in the crowd. I know Chad, he's had complaints. Well, like, oh, they're fighting in the crowd. To me, if you're in the crowd, that just wakes you up, and that just gets the crowd amped up even more. As a viewer, it kind of puts us into a different space. Where like, get in the ring and let's see something in the ring instead of you guys just kind of fighting in the crowd. But again, I thought it was a fun match. The bocce move, yeah, bit bocce, but hey, Darby got up and hit the coffin drop. If it was just that, then I would have been like, ooh, that's a lot, that's pretty flat. But Darby did hit the coffin to take the win. Fun match. Um, like you said, George, Darby does need to do something a little bit more significant because he's kind of been on the back burner. A lot of these guys, I feel like, have just kind of been on the back burner, just kind of chilling, not really doing much. So, and he's one of them. House of Black, again, I hope when they come back, they're in a prominent row. Where's Muro? Has anybody seen Muro? Are we going to
Oh
put him in
shit,
a
yeah.
milk carton? There's a few of these guys. Andrade, when are they going to unsuspend this guy? Bandito, uh, Rouge, like the list can go on and on, at least for me. But Darby, you definitely need to do something more prominent in the future now. Jay Lethal's another guy, he's taking L's here. I feel bad for Jay here. He's just been taking L's all year. But hey, at least he's in these roles, right? Because just being catering, eating fucking food. But again, I kind of want these guys to start taking W's, taking wins home. But that's just me. Fun match nonetheless. Let's move on to the next match.
All right. Well, yeah, just my one thing I do want to touch on for as much as we talked about the bocce part of the Sting thing, how clean though was that catch from Satnam Singh?
Ooh,
Because
Super clean.
that could have went really bad, but he caught him so clean on that dive,
you're right.
and he definitely has shown that he is really working hard. So I want to give him some props on that.
Yeah.
Um,
And also that throw. Oh my
yeah. Oh yeah. I think with the right people in place, Satnam is going to be a big deal. So
God.
hopefully he'll take it to tutelage of Sanjay Dutt to heart, and continue doing good things. All right, moving on to my match of the night. A the singles match for the interim AEW Women's World Championship. Champion Tony Storm versus challenger Jamie Hayter. My God, this was a good match. And Jamie Hayter looked fucking awesome. She looked like a champion throughout this match. She carried herself like a champion throughout this match. The crowd was absolutely behind her, and the finish was everything you could have hoped for. I mean, I know a lot of people get on it about the false finishes and whatnot, but you know what? Everyone came into this expecting Tony Storm to win and have some big, face to face with Thunder Rosa coming back. No, we got Jamie Hayter in the good feel good moment. I'm so glad that she won this title because it just, it elevates her. It's going to elevate this title. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's next. So this was my match of the night. And I know a lot of people might disagree with me, and I don't care. But what's your guys' thoughts? JT, you look like you got something to really say
Damn
here.
it. I tried to put her image, but like her head is cut off. Anyways, what is this is my match of the night. Very good pacing, beautiful pacing, actually, not just great, but beautiful pacing. Um, you can just tell when she was just walking down the ramp, she's like, I'm gonna fucking win this championship, and she sure did. The confidence in her, especially like at the beginning, there's just doing like basic like wrestling moves, and then there's just like kind of feeling each other out, and I love that. And then they pause, they look at the crowd's hyped, right? And then towards the end, they started going for that strong style stuff, and I love that. Also the belt placement when Rebel came out, hit Tony, right, kicked out, and the belt was just kind of on the floor. And when Tony like got hit to the floor, the belt's like right there in her face. And I was thinking like, oh, is Tony gonna cheat? And then out of nowhere, Britt Baker comes out, does like the curb stomp. Oh, it just perfect placement right there. That's one of my chef's kiss, the placement of like the spot. Oh, and then the hate maker. Oh man.
Nope, it has a proper name now. It is officially called Haterade.
Oh, haterade.
Yep.
All right. Awesome.
I would like to take credit for that one. Thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah. Again, my match of the night. I was so like, if you guys were at Chaz, like we were all hyped up, man.
Uh, uh,
I don't know if you saw the video of like Chad and Joey jumping up and down like little girls.
yeah,
It was great. It was great.
yeah, we were extremely hyped at our party too. Like
Yeah.
everyone went nuts. It was
Yeah.
such a good moment.
Yeah. Bob.
Look, fellas, this match was a good match. Don't get me wrong. I liked the match. I just felt like there was moments where they did jump the shark a little bit here with the false finishes and whatnot. And not only that, the interference with Rebel and Britt, the title getting involved, and I'm just like, it's kind of taken away, at least for me, some of that spark for the match. But again, the women they fucking killed it though. They had a hell of a match though. I'm not gonna take that away from them. They had a hell of a match. I just felt like whoever's whoever's the agent for this match, fucking take it down a notch. You know, we don't need a million false finishes because I'm like, I was literally on the edge of my seat, like, all right, this is it, what? And I was just like, come on, like I don't know, I had enough of the false finishes. I was just like, come on, I want Jamie to win already. She should have won like 2 moves ago. Like, just give me the fight. But it was one of the better women's matches of the night. I'll give them that. It was satisfying seeing Jamie win. It was about damn time. But at least for me, I just felt like, if you guys were just maybe 2 false finishers short, it would have been my match of the night because they killed it. Fucking Tony with she most definitely has a broken nose. That thing was just gushing blood.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I forgot about that.
yeah, dude, it was a good match. I'm not gonna
Those
take.
headbutts too. I think that headbutt. I mean, she didn't go for the head, but Tony went for like the chest. I think that's what broke her nose looked like, from that
Yeah.
shot.
But it was a good match. I know for you guys, match of the month or match of the show, but it was a good match. It's just maybe 1 or 2 false finishes, and that would have been cool with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my thoughts on the match.
All right. I mean, to me, this definitely the ending felt very reminiscent of a New Japan match, like a high profile New Japan match with a lot of the, hitting each other's finishers and, the false finishes. It definitely felt that way to me. So I'm not mad about the false finishes. If I have one complaint about this match, it's that Tony Storm's finisher looks like crap. Because I think the Storm Zero is a lame finisher. It's just like a half-assed pile driver. But that's a personal gripe, if not, again. But again, Jamie Hayter looked amazing doing anything in this match. Um, so I think the real question now is what's going to happen with her moving forward. Is she going to get into something with Britt? Because I mean, Britt helped her win, but there's always that: is she going to break away from Britt Baker question? And then we always, of course, there's always the issue of Thunder Rosa returning, and we'll have some kind of big unification match. And I'm hoping if that does happen with Jamie, that it, you know, doesn't cost Jamie this title. She needs this. She definitely deserves this title, and I think she's going to put a lot of hype on this title that was kind of missing. So I'm curious to see what happens moving forward, and I will be very excited to see more Jamie Hayter on my screen.
I'm glad that sorry, Thunder Rosa didn't show up and do like the belt thing
Yeah,
because that would have just killed the moment. But thank God that she didn't show up for
yeah,
that.
no, I'm so glad that we just had that good moment at the end with Britt Rebel and Jamie Hayter all hugging it out, and just crowd being absolutely mental for it. So All right, let's go ahead and move on before we get too bogged down. Next match up we have was the tag team title match, the Acclaimed against Swerve in Our Glory. Um, Not as good as the first match in this series, but definitely better than the second match in this series. Um, Crowd was obviously pretty hot for the Acclaimed, but who isn't? Because everybody loves the Acclaimed. Um, a lot of back and forth in this match. It was hard to tell who was going to win for a lot of a lot of points in this match until about the end, when Swerve decided to get a little, heelish and bust out the pliers. And that was kind of the thing that set the tone. The finish, obviously, with him slapping Keith Lee and Keith Lee walking out on him, um, and just leaving him to get, decimated by the Acclaimed. So this was a pretty solid match, and I'm glad that we're going to now move away from this rivalry, so the Acclaimed can do other things. Hopefully, we'll get a match with it, Acclaimed and FTR, down the line. Obviously, conspicuous by their absence on this card was FTR, and I know a lot of people were not happy about that. But hopefully, we can get that big title match for FTR down the line. Your guys' thoughts?
I get again the match. I thought it was an alright match. It was an alright match. Um, yeah, I guess in my opinion. Oh, give me a second here, guys. What?
JT, why don't you take over real quick here?
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. Bob, it's all right match. Definitely there was, when Swerve and Keith Lee were coming out, you can tell that they're setting a tone that they didn't seem like they're getting along, right? Swerve came out first, then Keith Lee came out, and then Swerve was trying to go for a fist bump. Keith Lee's just like thinking about it. He's just like, all right, let's do it, right? So storytelling. This match is more about storytelling than anything else. That's what I was kind of mostly paying attention to. And then, Swerve getting out the pliers, trying to like, cheat to win. Um, and then Keith Lee's like, you know what, I had enough of this. You can do everything on your own. So I mean, I'm happy that they're finally going their separate ways, but now we're gonna have, Keith Lee and Swerve face each other hopefully soon, and I'm really pumped for that. And now I really hope that FTR will face the Acclaim because um I just feel like that's gonna be an awesome match. FTR just great, overall wrestlers, also over with the crowd, and then everyone loves the Acclaim. So I mean that's gonna be a banger match that we're gonna have soon, hopefully. Yeah.
Again,
Bobby, we'll come back
lost
to
my
you
train
here.
of thought, but back to the match. I thought it was alright. I think at this point I was already getting burned out. I think we're already at 3 hours, and I'm just like, we got one more match, which is the main event. I just kind of want to get the show to wrap up already. And again, I just thought it was an alright match. Again, JT, you mentioned they're telling the story out there compared to the other two matches. The other two matches were just crazy stuff happening left and right, and the crowd being very behind. I felt like the crowd here was a little light. They weren't as excited as I guess the previous two crowds over at Arthur Ashe in Chicago. But yeah, the match was alright.
Yeah, I think the crowd was a little burnt out by the end, by the time they got to this match. So to be fair, it was late in the night. So, um, yeah, I mean but what JT was saying, this was definitely about the story coming in. Obviously uh, the clashing between Keith Lee and Swerve coming in, but also understated was Anthony Bowens was selling an injury before this match, because he had the match on Rampage with Swerve, where he injured his shoulder, and then just kept selling that on social media, and then coming into this match, it seemed like they were focusing on it. Um, but yeah, I think it's good storytelling all around. And like you guys said, we're gonna get the program now: Swerve versus Keith Lee, and Swerve will be established as the heel in this whole situation, which I think naturally works for him better than being a face. And that's been my stance on the whole thing since he came in. So I'm interested to see that. And then, moving with the Acclaimed, obviously the FTR thing, there was a little bit of story there because FTR and the Acclaimed have teamed previously coming into this, and they looked poised to set up a rivalry once it was all said and done. So yeah, again, solid match, but not the greatest match on this card. All right, let's move into the main event here, gentlemen. MJF challenging Jon Moxley for the AEW World Title. I'm not gonna lie, I was actually kind of falling out of consciousness during this match. But I got back into it towards the end, saw the finish. MJF obviously coming into this has the crowd firmly behind him. Moxley, during the match was kind of getting at the crowd, flipping them off, telling them, he's just loving this. And it's just like, okay, I get where this is going, but as far as the finish to this match goes, it was not the finish I was expecting, but it was also the most obvious finish there was. Um, so I'm with now MJF having won this match, my my belief is that Ethan Page will win the world title tournament thing, and then have that revenge thing from the firm happen. But um, to be honest, again, MJF looks like $1,000,000 in this match. Moxley is Moxley, and William Regal was the centerpiece to this whole thing. But what do you guys think, Bobby? Why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, no, George. Again, like I mentioned the previous match, again that fatigue was kicking in, so I was with you, dude. I was already kind of like dozing off. And here's the thing: I watched it today. I didn't even watch it like yesterday when it happened. I had to catch the replay today, and again I went out, so again I'm still a little tired from the night before, but man, by this point I'm already like trying to. And then the third act again, I was up and I saw everything, but again I think what it really was the chemistry here. Babyface MJF, and there was a heel Moxley in this match. Everything he did, the crowd, if Moxley, whatever he did, the MJF, they booed him out. Yeah, Moxley was not the fan favorite here at all, and I think that's where I'm a little conflicted because I mean, MJF is a hell of a heel. We as the crowd want to cheer him, not so much for me. Again, I think he plays the heel character great, and I think he should continue doing that. But here he is also playing up with the crowd, and again, you guys saw when he came out, he just went up to the crowd, and he just felt that energy. When before he used to come out and flick off people. Now, so this is where I'm just a little conflicted with MJF. I want to boo the guy. I don't want to cheer the guy. But he's doing it well, I guess, because he's getting the crowd to really cheer him up. But again, the match was also alright. I just wasn't really feeling it. The ending, though, I've heard it in other podcasts. I've seen it in other threads. People have been calling it for weeks now. Regal has something to do. He's gonna interfere, and he did. He threw the brass knuckles, gave them to MJF, and he used them, and that was it. I am interested in seeing where this goes, but the match itself, I was already out of it by then. So yeah, sorry guys. JT.
Yeah, MJF is definitely learning from the elder devil, which is William Regal, right? Um, but again, this match, like just like the tag team match, this is really just basically storytelling match, right? You can tell during the match, right? Moxley is working uh MJF's leg, right? And he's like really working that leg like crazy. I don't know if you guys saw the press conference after, like MJF was like limping, yeah. So he is still keeping that kayfabe up, It's awesome. I love to see that all the time. Um, but yeah, I think everyone knew that, Regals had something up his sleeve, and he gave him the brass knucks. He did the dirty deed on Moxley. This match is like obviously slow pace, but it's very story driven throughout. And I love that Mox started to embrace being the heel because everyone's just booing him and he's acknowledging it, which I love. You know, a lot of people don't do that even if they're a babyface, but this time around it just works perfectly. Um, but yeah, again, yeah, it is kind of a boring match, but again, this is a story-driven match. So I thought they did a great job with the storytelling and everything placement wise, right? MJF trying to reach for the diamond ring, right? And then Regal's like saying no, no, you know. Um, yeah, it's cool. The ending was awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen now as far as like the BCC is concerned. Are they going to stay together? Are they going to disband? Because obviously with William Regal now siding with MJF, I mean, do you really even have the BCC anymore? Um, so we'll see what happens. I mean, MJF never really needed a mouthpiece, so I don't really understand. That was kind of the thing that was throwing me off is why would William Regal do that? But I understand as far as like the mentorship thing, it's very similar to what Triple H did with Ric Flair back in the day. Just having Flair kind of back him up to legitimize him as a top guy. So hopefully, Max runs with this thing and just, I want him to have a long, lengthy title run. It might not be a dominant title run. It might be one of those sneaky title runs where he just kind of keeps edging it out. Um, and I don't know if Moxley's going to try and do a salty run back and get a rematch for this title, um, or if somebody else is going to step up. There's a ton of possibilities moving forward, and it's going to be very interesting how it plays out. Um, and I think the one person in this whole situation that is going to be most betrayed by all this, oddly enough, is going to be Wheeler Yuta. Because let's face it, he has been the guy that Regal has, been training. Because you don't really have to train Moxley, Danielson, or Claudio, but Wheeler needed the help. And there might be a promo come down the line where Regal just absolutely buries him, based on the fact that he couldn't hold on, the mic skills with MJF. Um, so we'll see how that plays out. And, if something cool happens because of that, then great. If not, I'm not going to be too unhappy about it. All right. We are running low on time here, gentlemen. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up for the night?
JT.
uh, no, I mean definitely this pay-per-view is way better than last pay-per-view in my opinion. I mean, yeah, I guess yeah, we were there all out.
Yep.
I don't know. I like this pay-per-view a lot compared to All Out in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think of it, but a solid pay-per-view in my opinion.
I will say this, it definitely felt like the night flew by with this, but then like once the tiredness hit, it hit. Like, because it was just such a ride. So, but definitely a well put together pay-per-view. I didn't get a chance to catch the media scrum other than MJF little comment. um, but yeah, again, I don't have any real complaints about this pay-per-view as far as how it was put together. It seems like they're undoing a lot of the damage that was done after All Out. So
Overall for me, I thought the show was a decent show. Ups with I thought the ending with the trios match was great. Um, I enjoyed I thought the tag match with Jarrett and Sting, that was a fun match. What's Joe winning surprised me. So there's some ups, the downs with the women, the first two women matches, and I thought that the Jamie Hayter match was good, but moments that jumped the shark. And again, towards the end, I was already getting tired for these last two matches, man. So, and again, I know 20 Con, you said you were gonna shorten these pay per views. It still went almost 4 hours, so you're a liar. You lied to us. So
this easily could have been a 6.5 hour affair. So
that's
let's be
true.
real.
That's also true. But hey, man, maybe just 30 more, 30, just shorten it down 30 to 45 minutes, and I'll be cool with it. But the show was fun. I was able to find moments that I enjoyed. Overall, decent show. I'd maybe C plus, B minus, maybe. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at it again.
Yeah. I mean, this was definitely a 7 out of 10 for me as far as things go. I mean, it felt good. There wasn't any real bad things that happened other than a few botches, but again, nothing really to worry about. Um, unfortunately, because of the time restraints we have, we're gonna have to skip Chef's Kiss and Bone to Pick this week. We'll get them back next time. I did want to touch on one positive moment here, and I'm not even call it a Chef's Kiss. It's my cream of the crop. Was Tony Khan finally realizing to take the hot hand and put the belt on Jamie Hayter? That's he did the right thing. All right, gentlemen, we got to wrap this one up. So again, thank you guys for coming and watching us here. Um, Obviously, like and subscribe here on YouTube. It definitely helps the channel. Leave a comment. What was your favorite match of the night? Do you agree with our assessments, or do you have something else you want to say about it? Let us know in the comments. And again, we're working on getting back to Twitch when we can. We got to work some things out with a few other members of the podcast here. All right, then, gentlemen. We are under a minute here, so let us go ahead and call it a night. Again, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for JT and Bobby for joining me here tonight. As always, be good fans, and of course, be sure to do the move.
Do the move.
Do the move. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.